The year is 2001. The place is Washington, D.C. For 2 weeks, alongside turntable artists and musicians from New York City and traditional craftspeople from across America, Bermuda's Gombe's dance. Master builders work in limestone. Seagulls skim the Potomac River, and the U.S. National Mall becomes a cricket pitch here at the 35th Annual Smithsonian Folklife Festival. Over 150 Bermudians have come to share their traditions and culture. These are our friends and neighbors. The stories they tell are ours too, Bermuda's stories. And the songs they sing, the work they do, the fun they seek, these are our traditions, handed down for generations. Across the days of the festival, over 1 million people will witness the power of Bermuda's traditional knowledge and the strengths of those who carry it into the future. Fast forward, as a group of students set out to recapture this spirit of learning and sharing. They'll knock on doors, witness their communities in a new and brighter light, energize subjects like math and science through the classroom of life, share the results, learn more about their own place in the community. We can follow their lead, but first, we'll need to meet them.
My name is Milton Joshua Hill, and I live on Audrey Wharf.
Right now, we guys are just having some fun diving off the rocks.
That's a passion that every Bermudian person has. There's so much rocks and being completely surrounded by water, what you expect. This here is my mother, Regina Lee Thompson. Behind her is my grandfather, Albert Thompson. Bermuda is a very diverse place with lots of people and very little space.
Just remember when you and Ananda and the friends from around the neighborhood was playing here. This is where you tore my yard up. This was a cricket pitch.
It's growing back quite nice. Being Bermudian is doing things in your community, doing the traditions, because it's our way of life and it's something personal to all of us. It's the way we express ourselves.
My name's Taylor Heron, and I live kind of in the middle of St. David's. I go to Steelbridge Academy. Well, my best friend is Jakia Lewis. She lives all the way down in Somerset. I like science. I love drama.
This is my family. This is my mother, Ruth, my stepbrother, Jones, my little sister, Kathleen, and my dog, Pete.
We fish at the dock, which is just right next door. At the beach, I go swimming. As crazy as that sounds. I have lots of animals. 2 dogs, 3 cats, rabbits, fish, and birds. Bermuda is its people. It is rich in culture, dinghy racing, Good Friday, everything.
My name is Khalifa Hines. I live in the small island of Bermuda. I live in Sands Parish on Beacon Hill. I like all types of sports. I like cricket, football, running. Hi, this is my mother, Marita Hines, and this is my cousin, Bernard Tankett. I found this one out by East Shore. I like to have more than one bike in case this one gets a flat. I could have 2 more. It's just for your trans. I had to change the wheels because they were rusty and seized. The chain was all messed up. When we would finish this whole bike, we were completely covered in grease. Welcome to San Secondary Middle School.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Medeiros and I live in Smith Parish.
Oh my God!
Music, I love music. I like R&B, reggae, rap.
This is my sister Brittany. This is my brother Jeffrey.
But that's my mommy. She's taught me a lot of stuff. That's my mommy. My mommy's like my best friend. I'll tell my mommy everything. You're gonna make me cry, that's my mommy. It's hard because you're always being categorized. They're like, oh, well, you're white, and you're this, and you're that. And I don't like when people do that because I'm me. If you don't like me for who I am, how am I supposed to like myself?
Summertime, you sit out in those launchers, that's all you see, shooting stars all night. Every time I come outside, I literally look for Orion's belt, the 3 stars lined up. And if you look at the whole map of constellations, you see like his here and then a rabbit's here and he's got a sword pointing that way and something else is here, so it looks like he's trying to kill everything that's up there. My full name is Ethan Anthony Soltis. I live in Warwick. This is my dad, Tony Cox, and he is Bermuda's #1 drummer.
Hi.
I play on the school's basketball team, and most of the time I play with my dad and some of my friends. This is my sister, Shafia Soltis, and she has been a Gombe dancer for 2 years. This is my mom, Connie Soltis. She works at the police station in Hamilton in the CID department.
Hi, guys.
I like racing games. That's why I got a steering wheel there. Hi, we are here at Horseshoe Beach on Good Friday, watching the kites and having a lot of fun. Yeah, it's nice living in Bermuda.
The possibilities for community research are endless, from the ways we earn our livelihood to the ways we worship, to how we marry, cook, and entertain. These are connections through which we show ourselves as Bermudians. And this is what community-based research is all about. Learning from the experiences of our friends, our relatives, and neighbors, those in the know. Let's follow the researchers, see what methods they employ.
I will be interviewing, taking pictures, as well as tape recording the conversations.
Questions that'll make him think, hard questions that he might not think I would ask. I'm gonna be proud of myself when I'm finished.
Tiffany knew almost from the start what to research.
Because when she put up the list on the board talking about Bermuda roofs and sailboat and everything. As soon as she put up Portuguese foods, I said, I'll do that. I just chose that because that's a part of me.
Many of her favorite memories involve her family gatherings at Easter.
My granny, every single time, Easter, Christmas, she has everybody at her house. All the women are in the kitchen, all the boys are outside, children outside playing everything. Behind every fruit, it has a story to it. Why did somebody want to make it like that?
Tiffany knew she'd need help and recruited fellow students Corey Daniels and Celia Medeiros. Then she called Fernanda Pacheco, a favorite cook of the community and an old friend of her mother's.
My mother knows you. Nina Medeiros.
For the lady? Yeah. And think, let's see, because what is the most? Well, I know for a fact that her mom passed away early, so it was very difficult for her.
And so the students would end up at Mrs. Pacheco's house, deep in conversation. They would bring a tape recorder and a camera. Mrs. Pacheco told them stories of her life, about the traditions in which she grew up. The answers she gave their questions are bits of oral history, history not found in books, but told from memory. Together, they would work through a recipe, because that's the best way to learn, by doing.
And I'm going to show you guys how to make the sweetbread. Okay.
I'm 15, so when you were my age, who taught you how to cook and do what you know now?
Well, it's I used to watch my sisters and my mom. I was 12 when my mom passed away.
Yeah, my mom told me.
So, I was really difficult. We used to be very poor, and this is 2 pounds. So normally take about 8 eggs. If you don't mind, just cut to 8.
Because I know you was learning when you was 15, but when did you really start doing it yourself and getting into it?
When I was 16. My mother-in-law, I was the one always next to her, see what she was doing, if she did something different that I don't know from her village. She left to Canada, and I used to call her to ask the questions. She used to tell me by the phone.
Do you know my mom, Lina Medeiros?
Yes, I know your mom.
Okay, she told me that she knew you.
Yeah. She was one of the first persons that I met when I came to the island. She was one of us friends, so.
Celia's questions about holiday celebrations brought her to more research. She would go on to interview her own family and report those findings to the class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll tell my mommy to say hi.
Okay. Bye.
Taylor is interested in traditions of sea and sport, those that young people and women might take part in. Her teacher, Anthony Wade, made a suggestion, and her family had some ideas.
It's an important part of Bermuda's history. So I just said, sure, why not?
And on a chilly, rainy day, she found herself at the home of Michael Hooper, miniature boat maker and racer of fitted dinghies. They would sit down for a long conversation, then tour his shop. But that was hardly the end of things. A few days later, she was introduced to the Elizabeth II and treated to an actual race staged just for her.
The race is the part I'm looking forward to most because it's enough to see it on paper and have someone explain to you the model, but to actually be out there and see these men and women working hard, that's the part that I think will be most gratifying.
Sometimes conversations go best when something else is going on that will spark memories, like prepping a boat for a sail. Taylor found that readying a boat takes a very long time, providing a great opportunity to ask questions of a young sailor and the lone female member of the crew.
My dad learned to sail at White's Island 50 years ago.
Alan Powell, Elizabeth's usual skipper, took Taylor through the history of his club.
This is when the Queen came down in 1975.
He and a second sailor shared numerous strategies with Taylor and her family. Their words demonstrated to her a deep knowledge of wind and water science that matched Hooper's passion for the traditions of the island.
With a lack of youth interested in coming out and sailing, how does that affect your crew or you personally?
I think it's a bit disappointing. Not that there's anything wrong with the English fellas and American or Canadian fellas who come. It's just that I do find it a bit disturbing that you can't get an entire Bermuda crew. They should be lined up to get on this boat.
Right.
Or any boat, you know?
What's different from a normal dinghy that we would call it a fitted dinghy?
We'll carry 8 to 10 times more sail. The boat won't even stay upright in the water by itself. It'll just fall over. That's why you have a larger crew to stabilize it. It's very hairy, sailing one.
Welcome to this wonderful.
She also visited the site of one of our newer non-traditions, the non-mariners race, something Mr. Hooper claimed to know nothing about.
Alrighty, yeah, this is our hatches. Holy boat shall steady my heart. Everybody ain't got no sense.
To Khalifa, the decision to investigate the Gombe tradition was obvious. They'd always fascinated him. When he was very small, they'd even scared him.
Yeah, I can remember because, when I first saw Gombe, I was 5 years old, and I was at the May 24th. The person who I was with, he was really scared. He was crying. Them just coming past me, and the bass drum in line with my heartbeat, boom, 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 like that.
But as he grew older, his thoughts turned to joining up.
That's one of the reasons also I want to be a Gombe, to wear the mask and just dance and let the rhythm take care of my feet. I think it's important, not just for my skill, but for myself, for my own self-knowledge.
He used his cousin Bernard and his mother as resources. Bernard dances Gombes and knows a lot about costuming. Bernard would tease him about the dedication it takes to dance.
I've set up an appointment to meet the Warner Gombes, and what they're going to do, they're going to do the opening ceremony of the karate competition at the Fairmont Hamilton Princess. They're going to parade through the neighborhood of Court Street for people who haven't seen Gombes and help me get a better grade on my project.
Kalina Douglas was brought in as a research partner. She and Khalifa paid a visit to Mrs. Janice Tucker, who was raised in the tradition of Gombe costume making.
Well, I picked her because I knew that she worked with the old generation of Warner Gombes.
Khalifa would be startled by the things he would learn about why Gombes dance. There would be other surprises as well.
You got some more shots.
Okay, Miss Tucker, how long have you been making costumes?
47 years.
Okay.
When I first started, no, I didn't have a sewing machine. Everything was handwork. I used to have holes in everything. And when I did get a machine, I was quite excited. I was happy.
Did you learn out of school?
No, I learned from my mother. She passed it down to me, as I'm going to pass it down to my granddaughter.
So it's sort of like a family tradition?
It is a family tradition.
What does the word Gombe actually mean?
Rhythm of drums. The rhythm of the beat is so great that automatically it helps you.
Why do Gombeans dance?
Well, in slavery days, that was the only way of having pleasure, was to beat drums and dance.
And then you have a beat where it's, okay, you're a good man. They were planning on running away from their slave masters. It was a certain beat that they had to listen for to let everybody know the coast is clear, and to make a dash for it then. If you miss out, they're sorry for you.
This is my granddaughter Teresa here. I let her dance just for that year with her uncle Termite Warner. I don't feel that Gombe dancing is for a female, because a female could seriously get hurt dancing Gombe. Gombe's has always been my life. They're always around me. They come in my, if they see me sometimes on the street, they don't have to be in costume. They'll just give me a couple of steps. It's like family. All the groups are like family to me.
Gombe is part of our history. It's what we do. It's a way of our celebration.
Thank you, Miss Tucker. Thank you, Teresa.
Meanwhile, Josh was in Somerset getting help from his grandfather and mother. Josh had decided to make a project of something he'd loved all his life, cricket.
It's almost like a national sport here, next to football. Everyone plays in the backyard with the trash can or whatever as a wicket.
For Bermuda cricket, 2001 would prove a landmark year. Cup match was turning 100 years old, and a very special batsman would light up the crowd with feats of daring do. Josh met up with a student from another school, Stefan, who was researching cup match as well, but the two did not see eye to eye on who should win. Stefan would talk history with the St. George's officials, while Josh met up with radio commentator Randy Horton, who he'd grown up listening to. Mr. Horton shared his views on the meaning behind cup match.
I think first and foremost, it's very important because it's a celebration of the emancipation of slavery.
Josh would compare hairstyles with policemen, meet up with friends, and sample traditional Bermuda food.
Them people make a lot of money off the food, and it's a place where everyone comes and shares a piece of the culture in the way of the cooking.
Can you hear me?
Cup match is for Josh a family tradition. So is camping at Clearwater Beach.
Cup match is a holiday, so everybody gets off work, and it's one of the only times where they can sit back and relax with their children.
Later, across from our national stadium, Josh would sit down with Colin Blades and Warrington Soup Zool, experts both on cup match tradition. They had much to say on the history of the game and holiday.
This is the Mecca of cricket.
You have to try and get them to really jot the memory.
That's what I told you, that particular day.
Get them to think of people that they knew, serious moments that may have happened to them. Think about the joys and sorrows. Describe your feelings when you first played in cup match.
In those days, 2 or 3 months before cup matches even played, you would have the St. George's supporters on you. They'll beat you in tongue, they'll be harassing you. So if you don't have good nerves, you will be ruining cup match. And I've seen cup match ruin a number of people because you have 5,000 to 6,000 people there. Half of them are for you, half of them are against you, and they let you know.
It's a part of emancipation. It's a part of being free. Cup match started in 1902. You see, at that time, the persons of color had no organization that they were able to sit down, make decisions, and represent the people. And the two lodges got together, Somerset and St. George's Lodge, Freemason. They played the game in St. George. It's a part of Bermuda culture.
I myself, I was at the last cup match, and I saw the racket being broken by Janara, and I was wondering, did you think?
Score, I think, would stand for quite some time. I may not be around to see it broken, but I was there to see it being scored. It's a part of our life. Children grow up to go to kite match.
Josh had personal reasons to make his project great.
Miss Tannick is my #1 for right now. That lady, she psyched right out if you don't do your project.
Ethan had flown kites all his life. He'd even made a couple himself. But like many others, he'd never thought of kite flying or kite making as traditions. His teacher thought a project on kites and Good Friday might enrich his appreciation and that of his colleagues at school. His mother shared her ideas over sandwiches. His father told him stories from his childhood.
Disappeared through the clouds. That ain't no joke.
Ethan went to the annex where he asked lots of questions.
This is Miss Daniels. Miss Daniels, where do you get your kite sticks from?
We get our kite sticks from Keith Haywood. We've been getting kite sticks from him for the past 35 years.
Fortune was smiling on him. While there, renowned kite maker Eugene O'Connor happened to walk in.
Kites since I was 6.
So did another familiar face, Michael Hooper, along with his son, who were there to buy their own kite supplies. Ethan logged notes right there in the aisles. After all that, Ethan was psyched to meet with Bermuda's kite king, Vincent Tuzo, famous for breaking into the Guinness Book of World Records, keeping a kite aloft for some 61 hours.
I picked him because he can tell me more about the roots of the kite tradition and more about you and how you started making kites. I would ask questions that'll make him think, hard questions that he might not think I would ask.
The two arranged to meet at Mr. Tuzo's home workshop.
Afternoon, Mr. Tuzo. I'm Ethan Soldier.
Mr. Tuzo would reveal some kite-making secrets, talk over the physics of flying, and through stories of his childhood, reflect upon the symbolic religious meaning behind kite.
That's when the kite is in the air, the symbol of Jesus rising into heaven.
He would lead Ethan on an unexpected journey through a watery field, where Ethan would ruin his best shoes looking for the sticks the Kite King uses in his work.
How has your skill affected how people think of you?
Oh, I have. Oh, boy. Now we're going. I'm going to tell you like it is. People got jealous. Some people stopped speaking to me. So they said, oh, you're a young man. You should not be making kites. That's childish. But I know my God gave me a gift, and I kept it up. And that's why I am a champ of the world and flying kites. What I used to do, get pawn sticks. Now, pawn sticks is another different sticks from these here, the round, the long, and they go in the water. And I used to turn around and say, okay, I put up my kite. They says, oh man, how come you get a kite up and we can't get a kite up? It's hardly any wind. But I was using a lot of wood, a lot of stick.
You won't want to make kites forever. What happens the day you stop?
I guess the day I stop, I might be dead. Have you ever made a kite?
Yeah, I'm making one, working on one now.
Oh, you're working on one. Mm-hmm. So I hope somebody in Bermuda will continue on making Bermuda kites. I'm going out of this world and you're coming in. So I hope that you will take up the idea, but I got to get you some pawn sticks. I want you to work on a pawn kite.
As we all know, what we learn demands to be shared.
Those of you who don't know me, my name is Ethan Salters, and I'm here to talk about the kite tradition and Easter. I'm here to talk about the interview I had with Mr. Tuzo, the Kite King, and I was pretty nervous, but when I got talking, I started to settle down a bit, and it was kind of cool me talking to them, like giving them some information and telling them about the tradition. It was like I was the tradition bearer.
Putting it in the pans.
It was nice just letting them know like different things, like we do this way, and maybe they'll like maybe try to do this one way one day.
Thank you all for being here today. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about thingies. I didn't know where to start, what to say, but afterwards it went over pretty well. The model is amazing. It was great to have that, to be able to show people this is this.
Every Saturday for almost a month. I met a lot of people that is in the community that I never knew before and got to hear a lot from them. Made me feel proud that these people would take time out just to answer a few of my questions.
When I found out that Termite was a Gombe, I thought, no way, he couldn't be no Gombe. Wow, really made me think twice about people when I see them. They could have hidden talents, they could be anything they want to be.
So maybe it was like, Bermuda has no culture. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Bermuda has culture, and with things like this, they can see how they can get involved and actually be a part of Bermuda's traditions and heritage.
Josh, Khalifa and Kalina, Tiffany, Corey and Celia, Ethan and Taylor. They reveal to us the power of community-based research and that all of us can be teachers as well as students. Fernanda Pacheco, Michael Hooper, Janice Tucker, Soup Sewell and Colin Blades, Vincent Tuzo, our neighbors and relatives. They show us the power of Bermuda's traditional knowledge. Bermuda's culture is everywhere around us, on our streets, our beaches, in our homes, and in ourselves. Discovering our culture is discovering ourselves.
Say peace. Assalamu alaikum. All to the people. What?
Now, Taylor. Go now. Go now.
Go back. Hey, now you're
How are you? Now look at each other. It's the strangest thing I've ever seen. Now look at the camera. What is this all about?
So there's room for girls in Diggy Race?
Of course, there's room for girls and everything.
Good cry for Cormac.
Hi, Mama. Hi, Dad. Just big up to all my friends.
Go.
Hi. Anyway, you want to take
Am I done?
Yes.